Welcome back to the Cove, y'all. Listen, I saw this title. I was scrolling through, and it said, Puffy try to F me. And it's from Terrence Howard. Apparently, he appeared on what is that? The Valiant Entertainment. That's the podcast. Wow. This is definitely let's hope it. I hope it's not clickbait, because I like Terrence Howard. He's cool. Hustling Flow, Empire, of course, but his career never took off like it should. And let's see what this is, man. Ever since Cat Williams came out last year and ripped the Band-Aid off this Hollywood thing, Diddy's in jail. And listen, there's not a thing that goes on right now where Diddy's not involved. Diddy's like violating everything. They should have put Diddy on the Violator album. Was Diddy on that Violator album? I gotta check that. Because a lot of them cats back then compromised too, man. But
why do you think that is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
Hold up. Before he goes there, man, he said so much in what he just said in like 42 seconds. He said a lot in 42 seconds. Now he's talking about losing your man card. Now, I guess this might be a real video, right? This might be a real video because this show is I think this is a syndicated show. I can't remember this guy's name, but I've seen some of his podcasts before. He interviews a lot of big celebrities. He's out there. But we see that a lot with these artists, and I've talked about this in a couple of my other videos where they get you in there when you're young, and just like how Biebs allegedly spent the time with Diddy, and from then on, Biebs would have rug problems, and he went in as an innocent kid, and he come out, you could see him spiraling because he's trying to cover up a lot of things that he wants to forget. But let Terrence cook.
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all.
And I wanted to say something too. If you kind of look into what he's saying, he's not talking about gay men either. It has nothing to do with that. It's about selling your soul for a project. He's not talking about being gay because he talked about just how the woman can do it. If you have to give that up in order to get the jobs, is what he's talking about. So I know some people might take that a little way. That's how I took it, at least. But,
all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things
when you listen to him talk, and it's the same thing Cat Williams talked about. Cat Williams almost had the same talking points, This is part of Hollywood they don't want you to see, and a lot of black men face pressure in Hollywood. And, let me let him cook some more, because there's a lot going on. He's saying a lot, man. He's not one of these people that's dragging along. He's in there. He's pumping it out. My man is stunned. He doesn't even know what he walked into. He's like, man, I was not expecting to go there, but we're there. So let him cook.
You went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their.
Wow. The fact that he name dropped Biebs and he backed him up on that, man, because we all knew Biebs went in a nice little innocent kid, and then the next time we saw him, he was hooked. Man, it's insane.
The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of.
So basically what he's saying is there's no therapy for that. That junk is so horrendous that there's no therapy for that. The only alternative is to stay medicated as much as you can, basically. So just imagine what that could be, or what it could have been.
Any principles there are, and that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process, I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I'm playing the music, and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
Did y'all hear what he just said? I mean, it's not like a lot of us didn't already know that. This shouldn't surprise anybody at this point. You think about when a person like Terrence Howard, who has been one of the biggest film and show stars, his man, and he talks about his manhood's been tested. Like, I've always wondered why his career didn't go anywhere, because he was such an upcoming artist. Remember him in The Wood? He had a bunch of the black movies, and then he jumped and he started doing other things. And then all of a sudden he hit something when I think he was on Empire. Him and Cookie went through the same thing. I mean, Taraji P, but Empire people, you know what I'm talking about. They kind of went through the same thing where they kind of went through their test, and according to Hollywood, they failed. Cat Williams had the same issue. People that didn't want to give up their integrity.
Now to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers coming to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept.
Oh, yeah, I hear that. It's different than when a man walks in the room than when a guy walks in the room. And that's facts right there. That's definitely facts. That's definitely facts right there, because the approach is different. The demeanor, everything, the things you talk about. And it's just like Cat Williams said, once you sell your soul, you can't look at somebody in the eye the same way. It's not the same conversation. You don't, like, once I know what you've done, Wow.
Accept.
I
So
get it.
always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
That's one of those things I never understood with the whole Hollywood thing. Like, there's plenty gay people that want to play gay roles. Why not just give it to them? No, we're gonna make a straight man do that. Like I don't understand that. Like, why try to switch it up on everybody? Like, it doesn't make sense. They just doing it to basically have fun with it, I guess.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them. But I've done the work and finished it. Now I can go on and do whatever else we need to do. Hi, everyone. My name is Terrence Howard. I'm an actor, but in the field of science also. So if you would like to connect with me, you can connect with me on Minect. The QR code is down below, and let's have a great conversation.
Well, the diddler strikes again, right? There's, like I said, there's nothing Diddy wasn't involved in, and it almost seems like they sent Diddy in to do the dirty work. Diddy was the person that did the dirty work, and he was that person for Hollywood. Now, I'm not going to mention all the things because with the case and everything going on, we kind of know what was involved and all that. So I'm not going to get into that part. But this right here is why Terrence Howard always stood out. He never played the game by the rules of Hollywood. He never really did that. And you see a lot of these other artists that it's happening to. Cat Williams talked about it. Monique talked about it, and especially with a big name like Diddy hovering in the background, just take that. He made it clear, he wasn't going to give up his integrity and his manhood for what? And we do see a lot of these artists out here that's just hooked on, I don't know what it is, but they're hooked on something. And a lot of times they're the ones fighting for that because they're trying to forget something. So do you want to be famous? A lot of people want to be famous, but there's a price to pay. There's definitely a price to pay. Now, I know a lot of people would still probably take the opportunity if they got it. If you had the opportunity to sell your soul to be in the next, say, 8 Marvel movies, would you do it? Would you bend over and would you do it? I know I wasn't expecting the conversation to go that way, but it went. Well, at least you know the shit ain't scripted, right? But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about this. This is some you can say breaking news because we know the diddler was now we actually know he was responsible for blackballing people as well. And like I said, I don't think that was probably through him. It probably came in from whoever is above him. This is what the mission is, to invite him over. And then once he said no, he's not playing, they're like, okay. Those scripts started falling short. Those roles started diminishing. Jobs started getting canceled. That's what Hollywood do. They're the big machine, and you either play their game or they're going to screw with you. And Terrence Howard says, but at least, they let him eat a little bit off the side. He still get to do things in the industry, but just not on major roles. Because I think the first movie he got dropped off was on Iron Man. He was in the first one, and he was supposed to be in the second one. And Don Cheadle took that role, if I don't remember. It was Don Cheadle. he took that role. So, hey, let me end it there. I don't want to make this such a long video, but those are some pretty spicy details. So that's it, y'all. I'm gonna just end it there. PeePodCove. I'm gonna see y'all soon.